Hi everybody, my name is Brad Erker. I'm Executive Director at Colorado Wheat. Thanks for coming to this video for our virtual Wheat Field Days tour. In addition to trying to do a few in-person Wheat Field Days this year, we're making this virtual Wheat Field Days tour in Colorado here available to those who aren't able to make it to one of our field days, who didn't feel comfortable coming to one of the in-person field days this year. So on behalf of the rest of the staff at Colorado Wheat, which would include Tyler Benninghoven, our Seed and Trait Specialist, Madison Anderson, who's behind the camera right now, our Communications Coordinator, and Chris Boy, our Administrative Assistant, I want to thank you all for your support of Colorado Wheat and for coming to watch the video here today. So I'd just like to say a few comments like I would normally say in front of a wheat field day. You know, as I stand here today, I'm at RDEC, the research farm for Colorado State University in Fort Collins, and it's currently 96 degrees. We're in the middle of about a 7-day stretch of very hot, dry, and looks like upcoming this week in windy weather, which is happening right during the time of flowering and early grain fill for the wheat crop in Colorado. So that's sort of been the story this year for the crop. You know, as opposed to last year when we had a really great crop, a 98 million bushel crop, this year the conditions have been much drier. We've got drought in about 77% of the state. The crop sort of started off last fall with variable emergence conditions around the state, some good but some not so good. You know, limited precipitation through snowfall throughout the course of the wintertime. And then this spring the dryness has really continued. We've had a couple weeks where some storms came across, but largely it's been a dry spring with limited rainfall during the springtime. So 46% of the crop is in good to excellent, was in good to excellent condition coming out of wintertime in mid-March, but we're now down to 31% of the crop being in good to excellent condition, with the rest of the crop either being fair or poor or very poor. And in fact, we had a board meeting yesterday in Lyman, and in some counties up to 90% of the wheat has been abandoned. So especially in southeastern Colorado, where they're in D2 or D3 drought conditions down there, a lot of wheat has been abandoned. Yields are going to be pretty low on what's left. As you move farther north, the crop does improve, but I think all of the wheat in the state, at least the dryland wheat in the state, which is probably 90% of our crop or so, is going to probably suffer some with these hot temperatures that we're seeing right now and we're going to see over the weekend. I projected a 54 million bushel crop a couple of weeks ago, and I think if I had to guess at a new number now, it would probably be lower than that. So it'll be interesting to see next week what NASS comes out with for their new June estimate for the crop size. Moving on to some things that are relevant to wheat production in the state. You know, wheat stem sawfly continues to be a big problem, which is on the increase. Some preliminary sweep net data from the entomology team at Colorado State shows that we're setting some new highs in terms of populations of wheat stem sawfly that's out there. So it'll be very interesting to see what that sawfly survey shows at the end of the summer here, both in terms of how heavy the infestation is in places where it's already been, and what kinds of new areas around the state are starting to see wheat stem sawfly pressure. We know that insect is affecting how much wheat some farmers are willing to plant. Fortunately, we do have a few tools starting to come into play, especially in the near term with the release of a variety last year called Fortify SF, which is a semi-solid wheat variety that has more pith in the stem that hopefully will stand better under wheat stem sawfly pressure. So there's registered seed fields out there now of Fortify SF, and we'll be anxious to see how those fields stand this year, because some of them are planted in areas that will have significant wheat stem sawfly pressure. There will be more seed available of Fortify next year when it hits its certified year. But if you have questions about wheat stem sawfly, don't hesitate to call us up at the Colorado Wheat Office. Our number is 970-449-6994. We can walk you through things if you have questions about wheat stem sawfly. Switching gears a little bit to diseases, stripe rust has now been found in the state about a week ago. Not at heavy levels that I've heard of anywhere, but there are several places around the state where stripe rust has been found. So it still would be a good idea to pay attention to your fields, scout them a little bit, pay attention to the resistance or susceptibility of the particular variety that you might have planted. But with the moisture conditions the way they are and the weather that we're having really not being that conducive to spread of the disease, I don't think stripe rust is a huge issue this year for the crop. The breeding team at CSU continues to breed for stripe rust resistance in the new varieties. Speaking of the breeding program, we're really excited to announce that Dr. Eston Mason is going to be the new wheat breeder at CSU starting next fall. So Scott Haley, as you'll probably see if you watch his video, is in his last year as a CSU wheat breeder. He'll be staying on until the end of 2020, but we conducted a search this spring and we're very excited that we've got a talented younger guy coming in to the program here next fall. His name is Eston Mason. He's coming to us from the University of Arkansas. He's been the soft red winter wheat breeder in Arkansas for the past 10 years. He did his training at Texas A&M, and he's got a lot of good experience to bring to the program. So, you know, we have a very involved program here at CSU and in Colorado with a lot of different types of wheat that are bred for, and we feel confident that he'll be able to take the program and transition it and keep it moving forward. The plan is for Eston to overlap with Scott for 4.5 months from mid-August through the end of the year, and we think that all the different types of wheat, whether it's hard red winter or hard white winter or Clearfield or coaxium or wheat stem Sawfly resistant wheats, that he'll be able to continue breeding for those types of wheat for Colorado farmers and for others that use Plains Gold genetics around the country. Speaking of coaxium wheat, we do continue to see increasing acres of coaxium wheat both across Colorado and other states around the country. I believe we're up to about now 6% of the acreage in Colorado being planted to coaxium wheat, about 115,000 acres, and about 300,000 acres nationally this past year. So we've had what I think is another successful year with the technology. We have seen some challenges with the system this year, and we'd be happy to talk about that with anybody who wanted to give us a call. But overall, in general, I think a lot of people are quite excited about having this additional tool in their toolbox on the farm in terms of controlling winter annual grassy weeds like downy brome grass, feral rye, and jointed goat grass. Tyler and I are available to answer questions if anybody has thoughts or questions about the coaxium wheat production system that is owned by Colorado Wheat Research Foundation, therefore the wheat farmers of Colorado. And I mentioned a little bit hard white wheat. I'm sure everybody's aware we've been in a partnership with Ardent Mills for many, many years. We continue to operate in that partnership with them in the Ultra Grain program to bring hard white winter wheat varieties forward that are offered a premium for delivery into certain elevators and eventual delivery to Ardent Mills for milling into Ultra Grain. So there are currently 6 hard white winter wheat varieties available in that program. Those would be Snowmass and now Snowmass 2.0. They would also include Breck and Monarch, and a couple of older varieties that are still around a little bit in Thunder CL and Sunshine. So the current contract with the Ardent Mills program is a 10-cent base premium, with 30 cents being paid at 11% protein, 40 cents at 12% protein, and 50 cents at 13 protein or higher. So we'll see what the contract looks like next year. As I mentioned, there's some new varieties that are very good, solid agronomic varieties that are available in that program, and we have some early indications from Ardent Mills that the contract could be a little more attractive next year than what we saw this year. Switching gears a little bit to the political front, in our office we also operate the Colorado Association of Wheat Growers, and we lobby at the state and the national level. So COG continues to be active on both fronts. We were able to hold our legislative breakfast at the Capitol in Denver in early March before the COVID pandemic hit, but the legislature did have a shortened season this year due to COVID. In some ways that helped a little bit. There were several bills that were scheduled to be pushed for this session that had to be tabled. A couple that come to mind are a pesticide preemption bill that we would have been opposed to, and a neonicotinoid bill that we were opposed to. So those have been pushed off at least until the next session. But we were able to get some good work done on a couple of sunset bills that are important to the ag industry, those being the Colorado Seed Act and the Commodity Handlers Act. So on the Colorado Seed Act, that one's about finished, and we were able to maintain some things in that we thought were important. And in the Commodity Handlers Act, it's still being finished up, but there's some improved protections in there for grain growers that sell their crops to elevators. At the national level, COG is still involved and a full member of the National Association of Wheat Growers. A lot of activity continues to happen there. Too many issues to really list here in this short video that we're doing, but as I mentioned, feel free to give us a call if you have any questions about the policy issues that we're working on. A couple of the bigger ones are protecting the rights of farmers to use glyphosate in wheat farming production systems, and also continuing to lobby for fair treatment of wheat farmers in safety net programs and COVID assistant programs. So with that, I think I'll end the video, but I just want to say thank you to all the wheat farmers out there that support Colorado Wheat. We couldn't do what we do without your support. We're trying to work hard every day to advocate for your benefit, whether it's on the research level or the political level or the marketing level, through various programs that we support that all relate to wheat. So with that, best of luck to harvest. Hope to see you soon.